Hello, and welcome to the Cheap Seats. This is the FPL edition of the Cheap Seats. We gave you guys like a Christmas edition where we gave you all the things that were needed up until Gameweek 21. It's now Gameweek 23. We're back at it. We're going to see how Christmas has treated all the guys. Remember, we are sponsored by Classic Shirts ZA. Their logo will go up above Cyrus's head. And remember, this week, our shirts of the week are this Manchester United 1993, not 1999, 1993 and 94 all black jersey. Wahid's favorite one, I think, because it's the Kung Fu jersey. Cyrus reminded us of this on the other show, the normal Cheap Seats show that we had the other yesterday. This is our FPL show. Gents, from an FPL perspective, how was your Christmas and how are you right now?
It was not the most wonderful time of the year. But still doing okay.
It's just with all the postponements and like you couldn't plan for anything, then you'd have a player, then he doesn't play. Then there's FPL's just the luck of the draw at the moment. Like, you guys might play, your guys might not play. You can't do anything about it. Like, just roll with the punches.
Pretty much. And I think the craziness for me was, you also look at it and say, with so many games coming and with so many fixtures that you really had to keep an eye on, it was strange that there wasn't that sense of excitement that came with it. Chelsea dropped points, and yes, that would have been sad for me, but I don't think that other teams celebrated the way they used to in the past, when Chelsea are dropping points. It was like, oh, well, we've got our own problems, And I think that's sort of what it felt like over the Christmas period. And I absolutely love it. I mean, Boxing Day football has got to be the greatest thing known to man. Sitting in front of the TV for hours on end, Christmas leftovers, and you're just like, let the football wash over me. But it just wasn't like that.
No.
Well, all our FPL sides were just hammered by all these postponements, all of these things. We even got an additional chip, which was a free hit, which I still haven't used. So I don't know if it's going to expire or anything. I still have both my free hits. So that's going to be quite interesting to see, especially with the players going to AFCON and everything else. Looks like the Ghanaian players are going to be back soon. So if you're a Crystal Palace fan,
not even looks. The plane's been booked. These guys are strapped in.
So Jeffrey Schlupp, Jordan Ayew, Thomas Partey will be back. Dean, how has it been? Like, because you're at the top, you were leading all of us. How has it been being able to have blank? Because I had a blank last week. Like, I had no goalkeeper because my backup goalkeeper was Backman from Watford. All of a sudden, Ben Foster's fit. And they're like, oh, come on. And Aaron Ramsdale was my other keeper. So that kind of killed me. But how's it been?
Yeah, it's not been. I mean, I played my free hit this past weekend because there were supposed to be so many double game weeks, and it was kind of looking like a decent time to play it. And then the Watford game gets postponed, so then you've only got one game there. And then just before the deadline, Spurs and Arsenal puts in that request to not play the game, so automatically then you don't have a double game week there. So it hasn't been great, if I'm honest. And it's just as much as you can try and plan in FPL. That's what it lets you do, and now it's just completely thrown that out the window. So it's literally, like I said, it's a game of luck, and it hasn't been great for me. It's worked for other people, which cool for you. I'm sad about it.
So basically, like how it has been for you supporting Spurs. It works for other people, but for me, no.
FPL used to be the best part of football for me. Now I have to drown in sorrow for Spurs and FPL. It's been bad.
So, but Dean, what did you do with Mo Salah? Did you keep him on the bench? Did you take him out?
So I've still got Salah and Son, which are two bad situations. That's why I played the free hit, because I thought, well, my team's going to get better after this game week, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, I mean, Salah, you have to get rid of Salah. You have to get rid of Son. The Conte's come out and said he'll probably only come back after the international break, so middle of Feb. So yeah, there's a lot of now there's hits that you're going to want to take to get these players out, and then you bring in players that may not play. So yeah, it's one of those. I think I saw one of the guys on FPL Twitter saying like he's taken a hit every single week for the last 6 weeks because you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah,
you just don't know.
Yeah, Cyrus, did you get out Mo Salah? Is he chilling on your bench because you don't want to bring him back for like 13?
I had to. The thing for me was I looked at the Salah situation and I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to have this guy sitting on my bench, considering I had Son there. And then I just kept looking at red. And I was like, I mean, what is happening? He's obviously injured and out. So I got rid of both of them. The biggest issue is who do you replace them with? And then you almost go against some of your training, as like I listen to everything Dean does and says. So I'm like, okay, fine. If Dean's doing this, I'll do that too. But the thing about it is, I still haven't gone to the whole fixtures thing and trying to look at fixtures in advance. I just don't have the time. But what I have done though is that I'll look at the game week, but not like weeks in advance. And if there's double game weeks, I try to use as many players who will play in those in particular. I just struck out because when Brentford's playing in that double game week, at this point, it's pointless actually putting any of their players in. You're like, okay, thanks, Brentford. All of the good stuff you did, you finished it, and there's nothing left. So I took a hit on those, and then so to go back about looking at philosophies, Man City players, who do you bring in? And KDB seems to be the guy now. He's back to the point where he was really dictating things, and he seems like an undroppable. But I've had Bernardo Silva in my team, and ever since I brought him in, he's been absolutely terrible. He's gotten me 0 points. So, I just knew it would happen, but I persevered, and it's come to naught. So, yeah, I don't know, Mpo.
Well, speaking about KDB, Dean, I'm going to go through your team, your selections for the week. For Gameweek 23.
What about your Christmas?
Yeah.
You don't even know what happened with your team.
Oh, my Christmas was just like
just
yours.
Going to dodge it.
I played a lot of cricket. No, FPL-wise, the postponements really hurt me. But it seemed like Man City were still playing, so I had a few Man City players. I went defense heavy, so I played a back four, and I ran them around about the 4-3-3s. Cancelo, Trent, Kufal, who's one of my differentials today, and then Janssen and Livramento, try to rotate those guys out. Obviously, I had Mo Salah until he left on the first week of Jan, which is awesome. But then after that, you have to be creative, try to figure out what to do. So luckily, Emmanuel Dennis didn't leave. That for me was a plus. And then Lacazette, Arsenal kept on playing up until the postponement. So you got some points out of those guys, and Ramsdale was Arsenal had a purple patch in December, which is awesome. So for me, Ramsdale and Lacazette kind of helped, but now it's trying to figure out what's going on with the transfers coming in. Coutinho in a better space. He's no longer at that team with Rafa. So there's a lot of things now to consider. Team. But the great thing I did last week was the moment they signed Coutinho, the moment his price dropped at 7, I was like, get him in.
Yeah, I should have done the same.
4% of the people who did
should have done the same.
And then on Sunday, I see that Coutinho's bench. I was like, oh, Lord, what's happening?
Yeah,
and
he was never going to start, though.
But that was it. So that's why I didn't bring him in, because I was like, okay, he's not going to start.
I'll give him the first game. Give him the game, and then we'll see.
So I have a little bit of a head start on you on the Coutinho stakes. But, Dean, let's go to yours. You've brought in KDB. I'm also considering that. You're bringing KDB, you're taking out Son. What's the rationale? I see you've got your Coutinho differential. Did that last game give you everything that you needed to know?
Yeah, so Son out, like I said, because of the injury and the international break, only coming back mid-Feb. So that was an easy out. And then KDB, I know we've touched on it, but if I'm going to give Cyrus some food for thought here, City's next 3 fixtures are Southampton, Brentford, Norwich. So I'm looking to triple up on City players. I've already got Cancelo and Foden. And as Cyrus said, KDB looks pretty undroppable, and he's really starting to hit a bit of a purple patch, I think. So I think he's a bit of a no-brainer, especially for a Salah replacement if you want to keep some value in there. And then Coutinho, so I wanted to see how Gerrard used him in the game over the weekend, which he wasn't match fit, so I knew he was going to be on the bench. I wanted to see if he even came on, And him coming on and scoring that goal, I think now gives him that confidence. And I think Gerrard will probably want to. I think it was it. Assist and a
he
goal?
got an assist and a goal. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at that and look at Villa's fixtures as well, they have insane fixtures over the next few weeks. So I'm also tripling up on them. I've already got Watkins in cash, and that's why I'm going to probably look to bring in Coutinho for a hit. But they've got Everton, who are in a world of problems. Leeds, Newcastle, Watford, Brighton, and then Southampton. So over the next few weeks, you really the teams that have really good fixtures is Villa, City, and to an extent United. But you kind of don't know who to bring in there. So I'm looking to triple up on some of those. And yeah, I think Coutinho is definitely the one to go. And then captain this weekend, KDB versus Southampton.
So Villa have a really great run of fixtures there. Everton, Leeds, Newcastle, Watford, Brighton, Southampton.
And so
they play West Ham.
But that's so late. But a lot of guys may not have a Villa defender. So they're going to play that Cash versus Deeney. I'd already had Cash, but if I was bringing one in, I'd probably bring in Coutinho.
That's the one I'm thinking about. Cyrus, looking at your side, your selections, you're bringing in Coutinho, taking out Mason Mount, a fan favorite. Your differentials, Lucas Moura, which I will ask you about. Okay, sorry, Mo Salah's not your captain. I do apologize for that. Who is your captain?
No problem. He just looks nice. Cristiano Ronaldo, actually.
Cristiano Ronaldo, yes. That's why I didn't. I was like, Ronaldo, really?
Give you a guy that doesn't play anyway. He's better than Ronaldo, captain.
But so my thinking here, right, was I wanted to like the problem. I really didn't have many Chelsea assets for a long time because I felt like Tuchel was doing a bit of a pep rotation type thing, and Mount was in and out of the team. But when he scored those goals at West Ham, that was a sort of beginning of his really good run, and he got a couple of goals. He scored against Watford, if I remember correctly, and he looked like in a good vein of form. So I was like, okay, fine. I kept Mount in, and then I just haven't taken him out. So that's why I was like, look, it's time for him to go, because looking at Chelsea's performance against Brighton, I was like, this is an absolute abomination. And it's not really going to get much better. And regardless of how well Mason Mount plays, I don't know if he's going to score me the points that I need him to. So he's
also, on that, Chelsea have played 2 games in the next 5 weeks. So they play Spurs and then they have 2 blanks and then Crystal Palace and another blank. So get rid of Chelsea players.
It's a good move. I should probably do that with Rudiger, but it'll just be after this weekend's done, because he's not been bad from a points perspective. Hell of a beast, that guy. So then the other thinking was, if Son is out, and I do think Spurs are going to get some wins, who's the most likely creative player in that lineup? And Lucas Moura was my thinking. That's why I looked at him as a differential. I don't think a lot of people will have him in their team. And I think he's a good enough player to be starting for Spurs in those games that Son's not going to be there, especially since Dele Alli, they basically put him in the bargain bin again. And so Lucas Moura is that guy. And he's really quick. In that Chelsea game, he actually had a couple of really good chances that just didn't go his way. So I think, given the fixture, he could do all right. Ronaldo. So this is where I tried to do a little bit of who has some good fixtures going forward. United did. And I looked at that and I thought, I don't know who to pick from United to play in my team. And do I go with Bruno Fernandes, because I'm not sure what I'm going to get from him. But if he's fit, Cristiano Ronaldo will probably play and potentially score. Because I also feel as if, as bad as his form has been in the last couple of weeks, Ronaldo's due a couple of goals. And I think those will come within the next week. That's what I'm betting on. So, and there was also, I didn't know who else to captain if I was really looking at it. Because Kevin De Bruyne, I would love to have him in, and I might just do that and make him captain, because I think that's where everybody's going. And then the other thing was Coutinho. And the Coutinho thing, as soon as I saw the links, I was going to bring Coutinho in. Then I saw he was at 7, and I was like, oh, that's a fantastic player to come in. And then I just didn't, because that's my FPL, I make those decisions beforehand, and then come the time, I'm like, am I going to pull the trigger? And it turns out, no, I'm just going to look at the target. So
what'll be interesting is if Villa bring in Suarez, like they've been linked.
That's easy. You have Watkins and Suarez up top, Coutinho behind them, and it's just dangerous.
Danny Ings to replace Watkins when Watkins gets tired.
It's a bit tired.
I just feel that Villa just haven't been scoring enough. And bringing in Coutinho. Coutinho for me was always going to be a bit of a kingmaker for whoever signed him, because he's still a good player. He just wasn't in the plans of Barcelona, and I think that was he was a player waiting for a club to take a chance on him. Villa, obviously, and the Stevie G links was was a no-brainer in a way, and it's great to see. And I mean, he's probably going to score goals against Chelsea for the next couple of years, however long he's going to be in the Premier League again, and I'll hate him for it. But from an FPL perspective, it's good to have him around. I do have a question though. So, you can't have a team full of Man City players, and really, the reality is, from a Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Spurs perspective, it's hard to see who the real point scorers are. Where are you guys seeing value? I mean, Paul, I know you got to show us your team, but where do you see value coming in?
Where do I see value? Okay, so where do I see value? I see value in obviously in like, I looked at Arsenal and I was like, okay, they're having a good patch. They're fifth on the log. That's where I look for value. I look for value at West Ham. So like Arsenal, Bukayo Saka's done well. Emil Smith-Rowe's done well. Throughout, if you had Odegaard throughout December, you are a good man. And when he comes back from COVID, give it a week or two, see how good if he's back to his best, and possibly consider that. West Ham's been great because it's either Jared Bowen, Pablo Fornals. So you just pick whichever one of the two you're considering. Anywhere else below, it's guys who are specialists at what they do. So, for instance, when Coutinho was at Everton, I picked Coutinho because I know you're an assist maker. You give me assists, And then, like, even if I look at Aston Villa, the reason why I brought Coutinho in, and the reason why Dean has Matty Cash is that Matty Cash is if there's a goal that's going to come, it's going to come through there. Lower down in the Premier League totem pole, it makes it a little bit tougher, but that's where you also can find, like, for instance, you always need to be able to preempt or see if a striker can do something with their run of fixture. So, for instance, Emmanuel Dennis at the start of December scored 2 goals in a row, 2 weeks in a row, and you're like, okay, their fixtures aren't that bad. Ranieri's doing something, so let me just throw in a coin. Because I think the pricing in the midfield, everyone's around 7.5. I think if you can find guys in that 7-8 range, you're good. And that's why Coutinho's a steal.
I've tried. Let's see your team, because I want to know your
okay.
pick.
So I'll discuss mine. So what I did last week was I brought in. Well, I had Sancho throughout early December, thinking that they would get it right. But yeah, so I'm going. So what I did was I took out Salah and I went with a 7. So I had Foden, I had Bernardo Silva, I had Sancho, I had Jared Bowen. I don't know who also I had in my midfield. I think it was either a Conor Gallagher or an Emil Smith-Rowe. So what I then have done is I've taken out Sancho, and I'm bringing KDB. I'm going to take out another City player because I already have this would make him 4. So I need to figure out between Bernardo Silva and Foden who goes out for another midfielder with value. I've got Coutinho on my side right now, so I just need to look. I might go Bukayo Saka. Because I'm a fan. Or I might go look at Spurs and maybe even try Lucas Moura to see if that's going to happen. I'm worried about James Maddison at Leicester. I'm worried about Leicester right now, so I'm not going there. But then, and the other thing for me, Kufal, for me, it's the defenders. I've got some really great defenders. Pontus Janssen, even though Brentford struggled a little bit, I'm okay with having him inside. I might even go Rico Henry because I think he's a little bit more forward. And then like in my defense, it's Trent, it's Cancelo, and then it's Kufal. Because I wanted to have a bit of a differential to what the other guys would have, like guys would have Cresswell or guys would have someone else. So I thought maybe try Vlad in there. From a striker perspective, there's like nothing. There's like I've got only Watkins, I've got Lacazette, and I've got Emmanuel Dennis. And at times, I think last week, I think one got to play. I put in Ollie Watkins because I was like, well, there's nothing I can do. And then obviously the way things worked out, Dennis comes in. So it's a little bit tough right now with guys at AFCON, but with guys away. And so that's where you're going to have to look for, like, for instance, Jacob Ramsey. If Coutinho's to be believed, Jacob Ramsey's a nice little 5 and 5. Well, I think he's 5. Pick to put into your midfield because he's okay. Look at Norwich. Norwich seem to be on a bounce back, so Timu Puki could come back into the reckoning again. The other thing,
time is done.
So I think if you want to get back to if you want to get some good value now and I'm talking probably from now in the next 4 or 5 game weeks, exactly that. I think you play a 3-5-2 is the formation. You have Watkins or
your midfield up,
and you literally stock your midfield. So if I could have the ultimate midfield, which is what I'm trying to get, is I want to have De Bruyne, I want to have Salah when he comes back. I've got Bowen, Foden, and Coutinho. So if you have those 5, it's very hard to see midfield not getting points week in, week out, based on fixtures, based on the top performers in each of those teams,
and based on
So I think if you do that, and then also if you can have, I've got Trent and Cancelo still at the back, and then you play around with a 5 million defender like a Cash who has good fixtures and just kind of move that along. I think that's still going to be the way to go because the guys up front, Kane's not firing, Lukaku's not firing, Ronaldo plays, but then he's injured and United don't score. It's kind of up, like kind of ifs and buts. So I think from now on, that's the way I'm going to try and play it, and it's just trying to fit all those pieces of the puzzle in at the same time. So that's the way I see it going forward. So midfield is the way to go.
Is the new striking.
Because but it's always been. It's always been, because remember 2 seasons ago, some of our strikers were classified as midfielders, like Rashford was dropped down into the midfield. The sucky part about this is Manchester United is not playing well. And they're
terrible.
We've always had one premium striker and then someone average. Now we've got no premium striker. We've always had a Kane or like someone to always, and then like a 6 million striker like a Tony or something. Now
I just want to say, well, Tony, this year's season's Tony is last season's Patrick Bamford, right? Everybody had Bamford.
Everyone. I wish if Bamford was back.
Yes, if he was back from injury.
Same with DCL. If Everton were playing well, DCL would be such a good option. But
and Richarlison, but you know, all of these guys. I mean, Everton are possibly the worst example of a team, or the best example of a team who just have got players they cannot utilize effectively, and then they're relying on not so great players in very important positions. Because if I ask you, name 4 of the players that play in Everton's defense, do you think you'd be able to?
Well, they score own goals, Michael Keane.
Yes.
But this team.
And I know there's a Colombian, Yeremina. And then he's
not playing.
Yes, then it's that is it Johnson or Godwin or whatever his name is?
Goodwin.
Ben Godwin.
Yeah,
Ben Godwin. Sorry, Ben Godwin.
Who's the old guy that they play on the left?
Saying?
Or the right? Who's the really
Seamus Coleman.
Seamus Coleman.
Seamus.
Yeah. So
the fact that guy's still there, like
this Everton are just an absolute dog show. And
it's a dog.
You know, when you look at some of the other places that they've got guys playing, and you're like, okay, this guy's still playing. How is this possible? Surely you have better players. And it just makes no sense to me. So they've got to bring somebody else in. But from an FPL perspective, right? I've looked. Striking is clearly a major concern. So trying to find somebody who can get you some sort of points, maybe even as an assister, can be really tough. Do you think though that it's worth looking at places like Brighton?
Yes, you should be looking at Brighton.
Not Neil
then
Mowbray,
who?
Though. Not Mowbray.
But that's the thing. I've had various Brighton players.
But if not him, then who? Because Neil Mowbray is up there from a striking perspective with all the guys this season. Apart from the fact that we just don't like the way he looks. Like he's
not a great player. He doesn't score points regularly. I mean, even Burnley at some point used to go on a run, and then you'd be like, "Oh, do I really bring in Ashley Barnes?" You know. So
the two cheap guys I would look. So Brozier is obviously fantastic at
and I was going to say, do you remember when I mentioned Armando Brozier?
I will always remember what you said. I'll always remember what you said about Brozier. So Southampton don't have great fixtures going for the like next 5 weeks, but then they get really good. Ambrosio's 5.1 is a no-brainer. But then at the same time, one of the other strikers that if you have a look at them, they're not doing like, it's not fantastic, but it's also not like absolutely terrible, is if you're looking at like Newcastle and Alan Saint-Maximin, he does a lot still in that team. Like, and the fixtures, they play Leeds this weekend, but he scored against United and he scored against Watford. And when he gets the ball, things happen in that team. And if Newcastle add to their squad positively in January now,
is Chris Wood worth putting into your team?
Not now. Wait to see how they play with him.
Yeah, because
wait to see how they play with him.
If Trippier starts putting in those balls and he's got a decent delivery and Wood starts getting on them, it could be really good for them. So I agree with you, Paul. We have to wait and see how they play.
Anything's got to be better than Joe Linton, right? And, and
if you have Joe Linton in your FPL team, Cyrus, I'm sorry. There's no help.
You support Newcastle. I don't, but it's one of those. Sheesh, Joe Linton. Okay, that's it from me. Too many questions.
No, we love them. Guys, thank you very much for joining. That's our FPL show. Before we go, remember, Classic Shirts ZA is running this. The shirts of the week is now the North London selection. We've done the Manchester United one. Now we're doing the North London Derby selection that never happened. So if you like any of these shirts, hopefully the red one. Yes, it's all our fault. Please do go. Use the discount code there, Cheap Seats 50. Classic Shirts today has been really helpful to us. Really awesome to have them on board. Thank you very much, Cyrus. Thank you very much, Dean. Remember, for you, Cyrus, most importantly, 8:30 South African time on Friday.
Okay.
8:30 South African time on Friday.
I don't want to do that.
That's the deadline. That's the deadline. You've been warned. Enjoy Gameweek23. Enjoy the football. Have a great weekend, everyone. Goodbye, good night, and lesale kakagiso.